Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rendani, and I'm always excited to just share as much as we possibly can to grow this industry. Now, jumping straight onto it, the topic of discussion today is basically leadership and credibility and the importance of these two concepts within our industry because you cannot really isolate them out of anything. But I think it's very important to be conscious about what leadership is and how it can add value and what the results of credibility can bring. So, jumping straight onto it, I did say, but I'll just give a brief intro of who I am. I'm currently the PR and Stakeholder Engagement Manager at the Plumbing Industry Registration Board. And my ultimate goal is to increase participation, build credibility within the industry. But I know my clear mandate was, make plumbing look attractive. For a better word, let's make plumbing sexy. And just changing the perception around how plumbing is viewed in the country and bringing respect and dignity to plumbers because ultimately we're responsible for transporting the most valuable commodity, even more valuable than diamonds and gold and whatever one thinks is valuable, but nothing is more precious than water. And I think just sharing such on such platforms, enhances us to bring dignity and growth towards our industry. But to jump onto it, this is actually I'm very passionate about this topic. I've invested my life into leadership, and I was like, why not introduce it into the industry? Although it's there, perhaps let's put some shine onto it. But before we get on to how does leadership and credibility enhance this industry, I think it's very important to ask ourselves, what is leadership? There's so many misconceptions around this concept. People tend to think that, leadership is based specifically on a title, a position, and it's not necessarily, leadership has to do with influence and impact. I defined leadership as using our natural abilities, God-given influence to put people in better positions so that they're able to empower themselves as well as the generations that follow. So basically having the passion or rather compassion to see other people prospering, and which is very scarce nowadays. We don't really find people who actually invest in the development of other people without expecting a sense of reward. So leadership specifically for me is all about influence, impact, and empowerment, growth, more than anything invested in interest. But here's a critical word to understand. It makes the word, leadership doesn't necessarily mean it's a good word, though, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's like change. When people say change, people automatically lead it to change. But everyone has leadership traits. Every single human being is a leader in some way or not. But the question is, what type of leader are you? So what you do and what you invest in others, is it a positive one or is it a negative one? And I think we, as a country in general, not just in industry, as a country, it's quite obvious and transparent that we have a huge leadership bankruptcy. And if we don't have leadership bankruptcy, if we don't have leadership that's good and excellent for us as an industry, it means our industry is going to grow at a limited pace. It's not going to move as impactful at the right time. So it's quite important for those who've been in the industry for years, whom I call the vintage contributors of our industry, as young as they are, but it's quite important that those people actually really realize that they play a more role than just a bigger role than just having the experience. It's quite important that they have to give back. It's so important that they have to have, investing into the next generation of plumbers and this plumbing industry. The great thing about what the PIRB has introduced, or the industry as a whole, especially when it comes to the master plumber designation, is that we want to create role models within this industry. If you have role models, then it means there's going to be more of an influx of plumbers that enter the industry or people passionate about this industry. So what happens then is that just by being a role model, you're positively influencing the next generation because that young plumber ultimately has to become a master plumber. So That's leadership in itself. And I think the industry is doing well by introducing such designations into the industry, because that shows that there's some sort of investment within this industry and there's growth. So that's leadership from a perspective of the plumbing industry. But it's so important that everyone should understand that you are a leader, but what you do and how you make people feel determines whether you're a good leader or a bad leader. And ethics has a huge role to play in this. But moving along, credibility, I think it's also very important to open up this topic of discussion. Credibility, what a very important word. And from the definition that I got, was credibility is simply the quality of being trusted and believed in. And I think for us as an industry, we know how important that is. You want to be trusted in what you say, in what you do, in what you offer. And if every individual can really be conscious about that within the industry, it will help us grow holistically than just individually. I always use this example. I said it last week at the Plumbers Evening in the Western Cape. I said, you cannot punch with the finger. You have to put all fingers together to create a force. And that's something Nelson Mandela also said. Credibility is something that we have to do collectively as people contributing within this industry. It's so important that one understands that credibility and excellent credibility results to trust. And once there's trust, there's a sense of loyalty. People automatically change how they view you. People automatically will change how they view the industry. This perception of, number one, this industry just being male orientated, it will shift around if we all, talk about this and say that this is an all-inclusive industry. It's for all people. It's for people living with disability. It's for all races. It's for all genders. And that already just tells us that this industry wants to involve more participants. It wants to offer a lot more from its value proposition to, empower others. And credibility is so important because it grounds you. It's based on reputation. It takes a lot to build a reputation, but it takes one small dot to break it. And I think it's so important for people to really consciously understand that. And unfortunately, that's how life works. Just the effort of building a reputation. One can look at different products from different industries. You use what you find credible. You use what you find trusted. If we talk about the plumbing industry, we know that there's a big market from a different angle that sells cheap products, which compromises quality. But we know that there's also original products that are good. Maybe perhaps the pricing is slightly more expensive than the cheap product, but because they're credible products, we do not even compromise. And I think the same way that we approach that angle is how we need to approach ourselves as business owners, as entrepreneurs, because you are an entrepreneur, you are a business owner, you work with people's lives, you are in the industry that is probably the heartbeat of society. And to not have a credible brand is definitely distorting you, or it will distort you, because you're not even going to maximize on your potential. You'll just work on what you possibly can, and you're shooting yourself in the foot. And that's just from an individual basis. But from an industry basis is, if we do not compromise on quality and just even everything we do, we know that consumers don't go up to the ceiling with us when we're installing the geyser. So I'm sure many people can get away with a lot of murder, but it's the small things. For some reason, anything bad that happens finds itself out. It becomes exposed. It will be exposed. And what does that do? It doesn't just distort your quality, but it distorts the entire industry's reputation, meaning that we're not a credible industry, meaning that we've got a lot of people that take shortcuts. Hence, we are also speaking to consumers to be aware and how it's important for them to actually go out there and use a trusted and licensed plumber. We know the non-licensed plumbers are compromising the industry in some way, but we're also speaking to those guys and making them aware that if you're licensed, there's a lot of value that you'll get out of it, and you become a professional. Your self-esteem is going to have a sense of growth. So we are actually, as an industry, really investing in just bringing out this awareness through our media platforms, through our corporate monthly media rollouts that we do on radio and television, not just only having adverts, but to really engage in interviews where we make people understand. And you'll see in my final slides with the role players how important it is to understand your position and how you're going to act in order for us to show that our leadership is actually doing well and there's credibility within the industry. So it's quite important to understand both these concepts, leadership and credibility. This is all we need. This is what we need as an industry to get us to gold status, which is part of Vision 25, 2025. But moving along, why leadership and credibility, why are they important for this industry? And I think I did touch on a few aspects as well, but for growth purposes, anything reflecting great leadership shows growth. I'm sorry about the spelling error there, but it shows growth. Anything that reflects great leadership shows growth because there's an investment in something. Influence has been exposed, and I specifically said great leadership, excellent leadership, empowering leadership, not leadership that's self-centered, not leadership that's based on just corruption, not leadership that's based on, empowering one's own pocket and not looking at the industry. You are a part of this system. Everything systematic. If you understand what a system means unique parts, that play their own roles, but that are interdependent. We need each other. Everything you do contributes towards this growth. So for great leadership and credibility, we will see growth within this industry. But even more than anything, association. People associate themselves with good leadership and credibility. That's what I don't think you yourself would want to be around anyone who's not reflecting a positive leadership or who's got a bad reputation. I don't think anyone wants to associate themselves. That's why when we speak of big businesses that do endorsements with influencers or people of influence, once something pops up on the tabloids, on the newspapers, they withdraw that investment, they withdraw that endorsement because they don't want to be associated with a brand that's not credible. They don't want to be associated with anything that's mediocre. And I don't think the industry wants to have that. We cannot compromise. If you know of someone who always compromises and they make it a humorous thing, stop entertaining those jokes. They're killing your pocket. It might not be a direct sense of taking out money from your pocket, but in the long term, they're killing your pocket because people will always compromise. Consumers will never take us seriously if we keep on allowing people to distort our original quality and the greatness that we're offering. So, and which takes us to the word of professionalism. Once there's leadership and there's credibility, people see you as a professional, and there's nothing better than that. Because once you're professional, you become respected. You'll be treated with honor and dignity. And I think that's what we're trying to bring to this industry. People need to understand that it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a president of South Africa or you're the greatest lawyer or you're part of economical sciences and you're multi-billionaire, you need the toilet. Doesn't matter if you're the most amazing, beautiful, most looking woman, Miss World, Miss Universe, you need the toilet and you need to consume water. So that shows that every part of society we affect directly. Every household requires plumbing, and it shows that we actually contribute a lot more than we realize to this industry. So why aren't we really maximizing our approach from a credible and a leadership perspective? It's so important. Even yourselves as entrepreneurs, it's so important that you realize how important it is that you take out excellent leadership and build a credible brand for yourself as a leader of your organization, because it's going to have a ripple effect going down. So professionalism is our end goal. That's what we want to do. And I'm nearing the conclusion of our presentation, but I think most importantly, I remember writing this down, and if you want to enhance teamwork and contribute towards the growth of this industry, you yourself have to be an example. Walk the talk. Don't just talk the talk, walk the talk. live professional, be credible, really invest, have a sense of, your value system should reflect greatness and good, and I think once people start seeing that and consumers are not fooled, guys. They will see this. They will see this. That's all we need to do, but you need to do your part. Lead by making good decisions. Don't make selfish decisions. Don't make short-term decisions. Make it decisions that are not, there's nothing wrong with the short-term decision, but it mustn't compromise your long-term greatness. That's what I mean by that. But literally lead by making great decisions. Motivate your team. Really motivate. It's so important. I know it might seem redundant sometimes, but there's nothing as admirable than a leader who wants to see the best in their people or in the people that work with them or for them. It's respectable because it shows you have the passion to want to seeing other people prosper. So you have to motivate your team and motivate those around you, and always speak highly of the industry. Do not compromise. If you speak bad about the industry, then imagine what people are going to think about the industry, because their own people don't even have belief in it. So, yes, I know there's a lot of things that frustrate us, guys. I do understand that there's a lot of things that need to be improved on. There's room for improvement, significant room for improvement. But your role plays, or your words, your impact plays a big role in that improvement. So motivate your team, speak highly about this industry. I'm not saying fake it till you make it, but literally let's attract certain things. What we say will come to life. It's a fact. So you cannot say this is a horrible industry, but also you now want to see greatness in it. You are killing it yourself. You shooting us in the foot, not only you. So motivate your team, speak highly of this industry, and introduce a reward system for great work. It's so people want recognition. And whether we humble or not, but recognition has a way of building our self-esteem. And I think that's why in all sectors, there's always prize givings, whether it's football or it's sport or it's economic, or every year annually, there's always a prize giving or an award system, because they understand that it's going to enhance the next season's participation. Everyone is going to want to get that. So what that does, it builds work ethic on a high level, professionalism on a high level, and passion becomes enhanced. The love for the industry becomes encouraged as well. So if you're a business owner, if you're an employer, if you're a key contributor to this industry, it's so important that you introduce a reward system for your team, because that on its own just is going to increase activity. It's scientifically proven. And more than anything, be fair, be honest, be legitimate, be truthful. I think that is actually something that we lack in everything. And I specifically said we lack. We all have a bit of just, now and then going off the tracks or getting off the rails. And we need to be fair, treat people equally, no matter who and where they come from. Just be fair. By being fair, already you bring some sort of, you make the plumbing gods happy. Number one, you make the plumbing gods happy when you're fair, because you're paying open cards, you being honest, and you giving fair opportunity. And I think in all industry, that's what is so critical. It's so important to try and imbalances, rectify things from the past, really give opportunity where it was neglected. Hence, I'm very passionate about the involvement of women in our industry, and not discriminating against the ladies. We have to encourage them to enter this industry. There's more than enough for everyone, guys. I always say this on the radio stations. I say, there's this saying about having a piece of the pie. In the plumbing industry, there's no piece of the pie. We've got baking powder. We've got all ingredients, salt, oil. We've got enough to make everyone a pie, because we deal with the most valuable commodity, water. The work opportunities are endless. There's new developments. There's going to be maintenance on different things. Every household requires plumbing. So we're a growing country. We're a third world country. Once our leadership finds itself, and I'm speaking from a governance perspective, we've got a lot more to do for South Africans, meaning more opportunities for the plumbing industry. But it's so important that we are literally fair, honest, and contribute and have a passion for this industry. You know, I was speaking to a few other plumbers I think it was last week as well, here in the Western Cape. We're currently on our roadshow now, and as we speak, and every time we get to speak to plumbers, you know, some of them you can just see, man, they're so demoralized and they just doing it because, you know what, I'm just doing it. And that's not how you approach things. You know, you gotta work it every day with passion. Once you love what you do, find that spark again, guys. Once you love what you do, you don't work a single day. Once you love what you do, you'll never ever work a single day in your life. And if every plumber had that mentality, if every plumber just knew how to separate the politics with the positives, I think we would progress significantly faster. But I guess it's platforms like this that just conscientize us and remind us of how important we are. You're the strongest soldier in this society. Without you, there's no life because water is life. You're the chosen one to deal with the most valuable commodity. Could have been anyone else, but it's you. So really just always put your chin up, head straight, chest out, stomach in. Well, it's hard for some of us, but just you get my idea, you know? Let's have that passion. Let's really have that passion to wanting to see this industry grow again. But be fair, be an example, lead by making good decisions, motivate your team, introduce a reward system, and always be authentic and genuine. People appreciate that. I think that also will be the cherry on top when it comes to good leadership and credibility. Quality cannot be, you know, imitated. You can't fake it. It might look good if it's fake, but it won't last. So always be authentic, always be genuine. People appreciate that. Show respect at all times. We don't all have to be best friends, but we can always show respect to each other. And I think as long as we understand we're on the same team and we want to show growth within this industry, that's what you should keep in mind. But just to sum it up, that is basically the presentation for today. Leadership and credibility. We can't live without it. It's something that's so important. If we want to grow this industry as collectively, we need to show excellent leadership. We need to have credibility around our brands, and we just need to have more passion for this industry, you know? So spark that light again. Let's together grow the South African plumbing industry. I personally and really believe we can be a global example as to what an industry should reflect and what it should be. We beyond gold, we water, the best of the best. So thank you very much. And thank you for your time. And please, I look forward to questions and interaction. If there aren't any, that's still fine. I do hope that you comprehended it, though. Thank you, guys. Have a good day and let it be productive. Cheers.